Right, it doesn't stop there. We're bombarding you with treats today. We're bombarding you with wonderful interviews and panels and content, so do not move. As Her Excellency said, and she teed up this next interview and discussion brilliantly, we're speaking to His Excellency Omran Sharaf, Assistant Minister for Advanced Science and Technology, Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Government of the UAE. Please come up to the stage. Thank you very much. You were teed up nicely there by Her Excellency, so the segue is perfect. I mean, you've had this wonderful portfolio of responsibilities. You were the project manager of the first mission to Mars, which Her Excellency mentioned, the Emirates Mars mission. You're chair of the UN body of the peaceful uses of outer space, and you're responsible for the UAE's foreign policy in science and technology. So you've got a lot on your plate, and it's wonderful to have you here with us. What are your ambitions in your latest post? What does success look like to you?
First of all, thank you very much for having me here. It's such an honor to be part of this important forum and discussion. With regards to what's next and what's basically expected from my role, and it's mainly to integrate our science and technology priorities, strategies into our foreign policy. If it was not for the UAE's foreign policy and the effort that's been put by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation in the past, Her Excellency Reem and the whole team there, we wouldn't be where we are today. In our space program, knowledge transfer was a critical element to building our space program. And I don't know if all of you know about the history of the space program in the UAE and the main purpose behind it. But the idea was for it to be an accelerator for our science and technology sector. So it's not about reaching space, it's not about putting a mission around Mars, it's about building our science and tech community, ecosystem, and industry. Why? Because it's critical for the future of the UAE, the future of our economy, the national challenges that we have, whether it's geopolitical or environmental or food-related or water-related, science and tech is an important element to it. So my job here is to build on the work that's been done in the past and further enhance the efforts when it comes to foreign affairs and foreign policy, to build the gaps, to make the relationships between the UAE and our science and tech partners not transactional, more of an integrated work between our science community and the science community in our partnering nation. In the past, when it came to our technical needs as a nation, we used to go and acquire these technologies, advanced technologies. There's been a shift in that. And with this new role I have within the ministry, it was an indication about that shift that took place not just within the foreign ministry, but within the whole system of governance in the UAE when it comes to science and tech, in which it's not transactional anymore. When we're going to address our technical needs, we're going to build it with our partnering nations. We're not just going to go and buy it.
Let's talk about partnering nations. Of course, this is all about the wonderful connection and partnership, collaboration between India and the UAE. How are you collaborating in science and technology?
So as was mentioned earlier by His Excellency the Ambassador and Her Excellency the Minister, it's not enough. It's a new area that we are exploring. Our first kind of cooperation in this area was when the UAE built its first nano-satellite, CubeSat, a small one, built by 7 Emirati students at the American University of Sharjah. That small CubeSat was launched actually, it was called Knife 1.
That's right.
On an Indian rocket. For us, that was a very important milestone. And at the same time, because now you have students actually building small space assets that actually work around space. And India was part of that.
They're the Elon Musks of the future.
They are, and much more.
And much more, yeah.
So that for me was like a starting point, but that's not enough. And it's very important for us to start to focus on new areas other than just the traditional trade cooperation that we have with India, in which we need to have our researchers sit together, work together, and address national challenges that we have within the UAE and also within India.
How much further do you think you could collaborate in space, the two nations?
I think not just in space, in many other areas.
Yeah.
Definitely we can collaborate much more. India can definitely be an important player and driver of our supply chain. Because as you know, now in the 90s we were before the 90s, since the establishment of the UAE, we were users of space technology. In the 90s, we became acquirers and operators of space technologies with the launch of Al-Yasat, our first communication satellite. In 2006, we've shifted from being operators and acquirers of space technologies to actual developers of space technologies. That means we need to have different elements within our supply chain, and definitely India can be part of that because we cannot do everything on our own.
How soon before Earth colonizes Mars? I had to ask you that.
Good question. So, that's my point of view.
Yeah.
When we as humans go and explore Mars, when we as humans talk about putting the first human on Mars, it's not about finding an alternative planet to our precious planet. It's about addressing our needs and challenges on Earth. If you're able to build a technology that makes humans survive in a very harsh environment, such as Mars, quite toxic, 98% of the atmosphere on Mars is CO2, and it's very cold over there, then that same technology that you use it to make the humans survive there, eat, drink, in a sustainable way, you can use it here on Earth, on harsh environments like deserts, and harsh environments like the North Pole or the South Pole, and much more. Something about us, sometimes you need a driver or a push to push us out of our comfort zone. When we address challenges on Earth, we tend to take the easy way out. Because innovation is hard, it has failure in it sometimes, usually, and it costs a lot. But then when you go to space and you talk about putting a human in space that needs to survive that environment, you have no option. So you're pushed out of your comfort zone to come up and innovate and be creative. And this is why the UAE looked at space as a tool or a mean to accelerate development within our science and tech sector.
What was your biggest lesson learned, life lesson, when you were project manager of that mission to Mars? It engenders so much inspiration, just the expression mission to Mars, it makes you dream, doesn't it? What was the big life takeaway from that whole experience?
Well, there's a lot. It's very difficult to just highlight one. But one thing to highlight, working on a mission like the Emirates Mars mission, I actually, at the beginning of the mission, I thought my biggest challenge would be technical and scientific issues and challenges. And turned out to be, nope, that's not the case. It's more of an administrative and political challenges. Because the expectation was to create an impact. And to create an impact, you don't just push your team out of their comfort zone. And we were expected as a team not just to deliver a mission, but change the mindset of Emirati youth, accelerate the development in our industrial sector, lead the changes in our science and tech ecosystem. For example, because of the Emirates Mars mission, a federal entity was established to look into space, UAE Space Agency. Because of the Emirates Mars mission, a whole ministry was established for advanced science and technology. An academy was established to incubate our science community, and so on. So the lesson was basically focus on the main goal, the main objectives, and the expectation. Our job sometimes, unfortunately, is not to make everyone happy, but to create impact. This is one thing. The other thing is be very agile, be very flexible. You plan things, you put things, no matter how much you plan, there's always surprises. For us, the biggest surprise was COVID-19.
Yeah.
One of the main objectives of the mission was to reach Mars before the 2nd of December 2021, the 50th anniversary of the establishment of the UAE. And the mission was announced in 2014. So we had 6 years to deliver the mission. Why 6 years? Because the opportunity to launch to Mars comes once every 2 years, when Mars is close to Earth. So if we're going to reach before the 2nd of December 2021, the only opportunity we have is 2020. And His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid was very clear with us since day one when he met us. He was like, you're going to have to build it, not buy it. You can work with others. You can go through knowledge transfer programs, which we did. Yeah. That's where international cooperation played a big role in it. And basically, we put all the plans in place. It was a very difficult task with a very limited budget, with a quite short time frame. Other nations usually have 10 to 12 years to deliver such missions. For us, we had 6 years, and on top of that, it's our first deep space exploration mission. So we put all our mitigation plans in place for all the risks that we can identify, but COVID-19 was never part of that.
No.
We did not see that coming, and did put our mission at risk because the whole world shut down. So at the peak of the pandemic, when the whole world, this airspace was closed, no travel was taking place, we had to ship our spacecraft from Dubai to the launch site in Japan. I had to send a team when the whole world was basically not functioning to go in the mid of the pandemic and be based in Japan and carry on the work that we had to do to meet that objective. And if it was not for agility, we wouldn't have been able to do that. If it was not for our strong relationships with our partnering nations, yeah, we wouldn't have been able to get the exemptions and put the plans in place in a very short period of time to actually meet that deadline.
Relationships, relationships. It always comes back to that. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences and wisdom with us today. His Excellency Omran Sharaf, Assistant Minister for Advanced Science and Technology, Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Brilliant.